Support for the show, FYF Sports, is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all of your below-the-waist grooming needs. Get 20% off and free shipping with coupon code FYFCREW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code FYFCREW. Your balls will thank you.
All I hear is yap, 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 yap. Ain't talking about nothing, right? Watch this. We gon' bring that pressure.
Just a little FYI, FYF, 20K sub 6 months, what's next? They been hating at first, now they calling us the best. Hit up YouTube, tell them cut the check. This a FYI, FYF, 20K sub 6 months, what's next? Woo, fuck your feelings, we all know who the real is. I be getting to it, ain't wasting no time. Walking straight in, we ain't waiting in line. Fuck your feelings, you don't care about mine. You a YouTube gangster, don't be yelling out slime. Or you talking LB, talking Ticket TV. Ain't nobody watching them, all the viewers be sleep. 5 years in, all your subs is your friends. Ticket TV, watch your cars again. Just a little FYI, FYF, 20K sub 6 months, what's next? They been hating at first, now they calling us the best. Hit up YouTube, tell them cut the check. This a FYI, FYF, 20K sub 6 months, what's next? Woo, fuck your feelings, we all know who the real. They all know, shop don't close. Working 24, trying to make the channel grow. Look at them, pointing fingers, hating on the low. You can't compete with our podcast show. Couldn't make it in the league, so we got on TV. Crying by LeBron like a little baby.
All right, this is FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont. We back with another podcast episode, man. Today we got a special interview for you guys. It's gonna be a little bit different than most, but I actually still think this was one that needed to be done because it touches on multiple topics that we've covered, not just in our podcast videos, but also in the live streams as well. So I think this is going to be a really good interview for you guys. Even though it's just a twist, you know, again, it's a unique interviewee. It's somebody that I know personally and somebody that we've actually spoken about before on this channel. Now, before we get into that interview, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you haven't done so already. The grind is real. Grinding closer and closer to 20K subscribers. I think today, I think we're around about 150 subscribers away from 20K subs. So, hey, when we hit about 19,900 subscribers, it could be this evening. It could be tomorrow morning. But once we hit that number, we're just going to go live and we're going to stay live until we get those subs. Again, I appreciate you guys for actively engaging in all the content, man. We were just checking that channel analytics just yesterday. The channel's exceeded over 2 million views total for the channel. Over 10 million watch time minutes. So, I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on with this channel, man. How, the watch time, the engagement, the people who share the videos, the people that really appreciate the content that we have here at FYF Sports. And then that's not to mention everybody that actively participates in the live streams that we have almost on a daily basis. So I know last night we didn't go live. That's because I had to take care of this interview, but we will be back live tonight. It's going to be a later stream, but we will be back live tonight to touch on some more sports news topics and maybe even to do a quick recap of the interview that we had last night with our special guest. But just to let you guys know, our special guest, man, this is somebody that I've known for years. She was actually one of my teachers. She was my Japanese teacher when I went to Arsenal Tech High School in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it's just crazy how when you meet people, and as you know, obviously I graduated and went on to college, and she went on to grad school and did a number of different things, and just to see where both of our lives have ended up, and then just not to discuss that, but then also to incorporate that conversation into sports as well. It actually turned out to be a great interview, a beautiful conversation, man. But hey, with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get to this interview. We're going to introduce to you guys Dr. April Starkey-Vauss. She's the First Lady of Irvington, New Jersey. She's married to the mayor of Irvington, New Jersey. I mean, she's doing a lot of big things. Right now, she's the superintendent of the school system out there. So she has major responsibilities. But the main reason why I wanted to do this interview is because she's cultured. All right. She's traveled the world. She's had a lot of experience in different cities, different places, different ethnic groups, different backgrounds. And I think with that commonality and her likeness for sports and how we can integrate that conversation into some of the things that we talking about, I think she kind of gave me a different insight on some of the things that we were talking about. Again, I don't want to say we 100% agree on everything, but again, I like her take on some of the topics that we touched on. So again, with no further ado, let's go ahead and get to this interview with Dr. April Starkey-Vauss.
You know, this is a great partnership with the Township of Irvington and the state of New Jersey, and I'm honored and privileged to introduce the leader of this school district, the superintendent of schools, Dr. April Vauss.
My name is Dr. April Vauss, Superintendent of Irvington Public Schools. At the onset of this pandemic, many of our students were without computers and Wi-Fi. And while my staff worked diligently to meet this unparalleled task of remote learning and to replicate our standards for student engagement and quality instruction, we still lack the ability to close the gap and were challenged to meet the critical needs of student technological access. Not only as superintendent, but as a resident of Irvington, I see the full impact of how this divide has affected my community. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented an unprecedented situation in Irvington, the state of New Jersey, and throughout our great nation. This necessitated everyone to immediately implement remote learning. So today, I stand before you proudly to support Governor Murphy's Digital Divide Initiative to bridge the gap in students' needs as we look ahead to reopening schools throughout New Jersey. This initiative will fulfill our motto here in Irvington of building our community one student at a time.
All right, it's FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont. We back. As you guys can see, we are here with Dr. April Starkey-Vauss, and hopefully I said the last name correct. If I didn't, let me know once we get started. But you know, as you guys know, I talk to you guys in these live stream chats. I told you guys, I've been telling you guys that, you know, I studied Japanese for, it wasn't a long time, but I did study Japanese. I did learn some things. Some of it stuck with me organically. A lot of it didn't. But at the end of the day, this is the person that taught me the Japanese that I do know. And a lot of people don't know this. I don't think she even knew this, but the only reason I even got into the Japanese class at Arsenal Tech High School in Indianapolis, it was four of us. It was me, Wallace, a guy named Tim, another guy, I can't remember, but we all had a crush on her in middle school. And we all agreed to get into Japanese because of her. And I was the only one that got in. So they ended up leaving me stranded. So I got into class. They left me stranded, and I said, well, I might as well write out the class for the rest of the time there. So this was my boyhood crush while I got through high school. Hopefully I didn't embarrass her too much with that. But we're going to go ahead and introduce her in, man. This is Dr. April Starkey, man. She's, you know, I'm just going to kind of run down some of the things that she's accomplished, man. She went to Arsenal Tech High School herself, studied at Earlham College, also studied at Oakland City University. That's where she got her doctorate degree, and I'll let her tell the rest. But man, she, like I said, this is a person that had a major influence on my life, especially going into college, because I even studied Japanese to a certain degree when I was at Purdue University as well. But this is Dr. April Starkey. How you doing today? Just kind of let everybody with the show, you know, just let them know who you are, where you're from, what you're into now, before we get into all of the sports topics that we want to touch on.
Wow, well, yes, you did surprise me. I didn't know that, but hopefully you enjoyed the class. You know, I am a proud graduate of Arsenal Technical High School. I think everyone who did graduate from there
are very proud alumni. I loved my high school. I had the joy of going back and being a teacher there. That was like the best thing in the world for me at that time. But yes, I graduated from Arsenal Technical High School. I got a full scholarship to Earlham College to study Japanese. Studied there, actually ended up having a minor in Japanese, and I majored in sociology and anthropology. Caught the teaching bug while I was there. I never wanted to be a teacher, so but when I started to teach, I was like, this is pretty great. Can't make a lot of money with it, but it was pretty great. So did that, went back to school, got a couple of master's degrees. One focused on teaching Japanese and teaching history, and then I got another one later on in educational leadership. I was just telling Lamont that I never wanted to be an administrator, just like I guess at one point I didn't think I wanted to be a teacher. And now I'm the superintendent of public schools in my town that I live in, New Jersey. Been in New Jersey for going on 19 years now. Can't believe it. Never thought I would leave Indiana. So I guess the long and the short of it is never discount anything that may happen. Be open-minded.
Yes. Yes.
What life may bring you, right?
And that's so funny because even with me, because I coach now and I'm into basketball now, but even with coaching, I never, obviously I played when I was at Tech. That was a big thing. Make sure you tell everybody how great of a player I was at Tech.
Yes.
No, I'm just joking. But after I was done playing college, all of that stuff, I never thought coaching. It was coaching just happened by accident when I was at Purdue. After I graduated, just there at the rec, and the guys asked me, "Can you, we know you've played before. Can you coach our club team? We need a coach." So I just started coaching free of charge, and then I was like, similar to you, I was like, doesn't pay a lot. At the time, it didn't pay anything, but I said I like doing this, and we had success there, national championship, and then I got the offer, obviously, to come out here to GCU and do some things out here. But yeah, that's funny how just life can, just change just like that. And I was telling you before, my decision to come out here was just on a whim. I had about 30 days to make that decision. So let everybody know, before we get started too, what are you doing now? And again, what, you said you were the superintendent of your school district. And I know that's a big responsibility. And that's going to also transition into one of the next topics that we're going to be talking to. But what what made you say when you were offered that position, say, this is what I want to do? And, obviously it wasn't just the money, because again, that's a humongous role to take on. But what made you take that role, and how do you feel you could make a change in that particular school district as the superintendent?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been in this district for the last going on it actually was 17 years in January. I've been in this district for a while. I actually came into the state an alternative school teacher. I left the wonderful students like Lamont, and where they were going off to wonderful schools, and had to teach some of the toughest kids. But basically at the heart of it, they were the same type of people, in that they had dreams and aspirations, and sometimes some people have bigger dreams than other people. That led me to Irvington Public Schools, and I've been there for the last, like I said, 17 years. And then I was a math specialist at the time. So one of the things I would encourage people to do is to make sure that you diversify your skill set. So, Lamont knows me as a Japanese teacher. I got certification in history, went on and got other certifications so I could teach other things. Was a math specialist for a while. And then I said, maybe if I'm a principal, I can help a greater group of kids, And so I went back to school and got my second master's and did that. And then said, well, you know what? Maybe I want to. Well, actually, someone said, you'll be good as an assistant superintendent, because I was just happy to be a principal when I was a principal. And lo and behold, I went back and got my doctorate. And I said, okay, let me do this assistant soup. I loved it. It was creating curriculum, and I love creating curriculum. I love instructional things. So did that for 3 years. And then actually the superintendent decided to move on to a different district. And so my number was called.
Wow.
in the middle of the pandemic. So you gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared. And I can't say it's not challenging. It is a very challenging job, but it's just as rewarding. So that's
the best feeling. Like I said, and obviously I don't have the responsibility that you have. I'm only dealing with a group of college athletes that are, of 10 to maybe 20 guys max. You're dealing with literally thousands of students who you really have to manage. So, and that, we had a recent live stream where obviously with our channel, we just don't stick to the basic sports topics. We really try to evolve and dive deeper into this sports world and really talk about some things that actually matter. And we spoke on the topic of how can you incorporate, and the age that we live in. Obviously, we live in a different age where we have now transgender students are being recognized. You have transgender athletes. And we had a live stream where we spoke on especially the males who switch and they switch sexes, and now they're classified as female and they want to participate in female sports. And then it's also vice versa. What are the challenges that can present as far as with you being the head of a school district? Like, I don't know if this is something that's came across your desk, obviously with Joe Biden introducing some new policies that are going to force some school districts into participating, whether they agree or not. Like, what are your thoughts on this, and what do you think the challenges are kind of going forward with that particular topic?
Well, it's funny because I live in a very progressive state. And so we even a couple years ago, we introduced the LGBTQ, and I think I'm forgetting a letter, but the curriculum to be inclusive, also a special education curriculum to be inclusive so people can learn about other groups of people and how they think. And I say other groups of people, but the transgender community, they're our people. They're with us. And so, I don't think that there is a quick answer. I think it's about us educating ourselves about that whole community. It's sort of like how, it's not the same exact thing. So, as to not offend people, but a lot of people weren't made to learn about African American culture. So I know going to a school that was predominantly white, people just did not know. Some people didn't want to know, granted, but some people want to know, they just didn't know. So they may say or do things that are offensive, but not intentionally. They may just be ignorant. And I think as a society, we're probably ignorant on a lot of the issues that as they pertain to transgender. But, we have to educate ourselves. And I know that there's a big lawsuit in Connecticut right now. A young lady is suing because she feels she has to compete. But I don't think that it's not a black and white issue. It's just shades of gray big time. And I think the biggest thing is to bring everyone to the table and people being able to discuss these things. I think that's the way. But just to have a fast, quick answer solution to something that's very complicated. It's just not wise, and it wouldn't be wise on my part. I think if anything, I want to listen to both sides. I want to listen to young ladies who feel as though that other people have a competitive edge, but it's not just that simple. It's not just simple as, oh, they're a boy that's competing in girls sports. It's not that simple. And if you know anything about that community, as time goes on, the competitive edge is not necessarily there. So I mean, but I understand how the other women might feel. So like I said, it's not an easy topic, but it's one that we do have to face head on, and not be afraid to discuss it.
And then the one thing we kind of elaborated on, because I know this is the topic where there's always going to be two sides. You're going to have some people in between. The one thing about our channel is we never disrespect anyone's opinion, whether you're on this side or either side of the argument. We accept all opinions, and I appreciate that opinion on this. One of the questions that we raised when we spoke about this was, is there a potential danger for people to abuse it? Because it's not something, And again, maybe it takes more studying, maybe it takes more research, maybe it takes bringing all sides to the party. But one of the concerns that we brought up, and you can probably help us with this, is the potential for people to abuse it, whether it's for financial gain, whether it's for temporary fame, whether it's just to feel that certain type of success. Because even when you talk about the transgender students in Connecticut dealing with that lawsuit, a lot of one of the biggest reasons why they have so much pushback right now is because those two athletes, as sophomores and juniors, I think, have literally dominated the sport to a degree where they've won records, and a lot of the natural born females are feeling like they're just running for second place whenever they compete against these two students. Do you feel that there's a potential danger for people to say, this is a way for me to excel in a sport that I normally wouldn't excel in if I didn't transition?
I would say no. And the only reason why I get the fact that immediately and probably at the beginning they may have a competitive edge, but these arguments, and once again, I don't want to offend anyone because I'm African American, yes. Proudly so, but these arguments are so similar to the arguments that were used against us when I was, and I'm not that old, right? But when I was in college, do you know that there were people who actually believe that African Americans have an extra bone in their leg that gives them a competitive edge in athletics?
Okay.
And I know that this is not a perfect comparison, but I just look at the lives transgender members of our community and how much they have to go through. So I mean, taking it out to its furthest logical end, with the advantage of being able to be recognized at a very, and you know this because you're really into sports, how many of those people actually become national phenomenon? You know, how many of them will go on to get great endorsements and become super athletic stars? It's even if they're really great, it's a small number. And if they compete as females, the wealth factor is going to be very minimal compared to males. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in a position to be misunderstood, to be abused, to be ridiculed, to, discriminated against, on and on and on. I don't know that the benefits outweigh, not the financial benefits or the notoriety outweigh the pain that one will experience. And more so, I guess if you're talking about the fact that you're being proud and you're coming out and you're expressing who you are, there are benefits in that. But other than that, I don't think that the pain outweighs, or the pain, the wealth outweighs the pain in that.
That's actually an angle that we didn't even think about. So I'm glad you brought that up. The cons definitely outweigh the pros in that particular situation. You have much more against you, and the financial benefits to making such a move, like you said, unless you're a woman who can come over into the men's realm and compete. And this is just the business side of it. That's where the money is. There's really not a lot of money in women's sports right now. That's the unfortunate reality. Maybe some, and that's an entirely different argument, but that's the reality of the business side of sports right now.
Ask women in the WNBA.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish they could get paid more, but just the business side of it doesn't dictate it right now. Maybe things will change. Maybe that sport can get galvanized after the pandemic, but as it stands right now, you are correct. The money, the cons definitely outweigh the pros in that situation. So we're going to transition on into another topic. I know we could speak on that all day. And this is another topic right here because we've had a number of podcast shows where it's taken us into the direction that's talking about personal finance, financial responsibility, wealth in the Black community, and these athletes that we see on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things that we see with African American athletes, more so than with any other race, is that once they're done playing sports, when they find themselves broke. All of that wealth that they amassed is gone. And I wanted to speak to you about, is this because of cultural miseducation? It's just in our community. Do we not educate our kids, our families, our family members, our students? Do we not educate them properly about finances, financial literacy, debt, things of that nature? I mean, because, and I want to ask you this because I know you're more cultured, and you've been to Japan, you've dealt with other cultures, a number of languages, you've interacted with, like you said, you went to school primarily, I think you said white high school, if I'm correct. Then
it was a lot more diverse than when you went there, but and then my undergrad, my undergrad graduate schools were predominantly white, and I graduated from my doctoral program, and I was one of like a few people who went through that.
So where do you think, why do you think this happens? Because we're regardless of what era, whether it's 80s, 90s, early 2000s to now, I see it happening in every era, and it's not like it's going away anytime soon. What needs to be taught, like with regards to financial literacy? Like, is that a big problem? Is that something you think can easily be rectified? Like, where do we need to start to fix those types of issues?
I think you have to start from when they're in the cradle. I think you have to start teaching financial literacy. I know where in my state, we started a program where everyone has to start taking financial literacy in the middle school. I would say let's start earlier, but that's just the state mandate, right? I think there's a couple of things. And when we speak just of the community in general, people always think of things in terms of having a good job, if you can stay on your job for so long and you can make some money and then you get a nice pension, or you get a, whatever you think of that you're going to have, you're not really thinking of what a pension does and how you must offset that with some personal wealth. I think is a serious problem in the community. But just being able to get a job is really the goal for so many members of our community, that to go beyond and to create their own business, create methods or investments so that they can gain wealth is not on the forefront of people who are just working day by day trying to pay those bills. And so you definitely have to show and lead by example of like a certain amount of fiscal responsibility. I believe in putting money in our community, especially the communities that have educated us. But after you receive your own money back, you should be very responsible with it. There's a certain amount of money I believe people should try to save every year. You should have plans on building your wealth and not just base it upon the salaries that we receive. I don't think that we speak that language to our children, and even more so, we don't teach them. We don't show them. And, and sometimes we're afraid to take risks, because if you're going to have your own business, because if you want to really generate wealth, especially generational wealth, it's not going to just come through a job.
That's facts.
So, I could talk on that all day. One of the things I heard so many years ago was as far as Black athletes, especially Black male athletes, NBA, NFL particularly, was the greatest wealth killer for young Black males in the NBA and the NFL is to have children, lots of children outside of wedlock. Because if you think about it, you're going to have to pay. And it's not based upon what your friend who may have had a kid has to pay. It's based upon how much you make. And you may end up paying more out. Now, don't get me wrong. I think people should take care of their families. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying is that you should take care of your family. You should be intentional about the family you have so that you won't destroy your wealth. Because there are some certain athletes that we may not have even ever heard of. And I can't think of the guy's name, but he played for Florida State, and then he went on to be in the NFL for a few years. And he just saved all of that money. And he only used a certain amount. And this is an anomaly, but he went on to medical school and he became a surgeon. And he's probably more well known as a surgeon than he is as an NFL player. But that money, he still has that money. He's living off of that money. He can save all the rest of his money. And most players, if you only have 2 or 3 years if it's the NFL. I don't know what the shelf life for the NBA is, but you have to go in with a plan.
Yep.
Your body is your tool that you use for your job. So make sure you maintain it, you upkeep it, you stay fit, and you have a plan on this is what I'm going to save this year, because you just don't know how long you'll have. But you can use that to create and springboard your future if you're smart about it.
That's true right there. And because in a lot of these conversations, especially, when the NBA season was shut down, there were a lot of conversations about should the players come back and play. And so you had some people saying, oh, they have plenty of money, they shouldn't want to come back and play. And when, that's how we really started getting into this topic of what's real wealth. And I try to tell people, it's like, in this day and age, $1 million, $2 million, even $5 million is not necessarily real wealth. That's probably what you want to have just going into retirement, maybe save. When you're talking about a lifetime, that's not, it's easy to say that, like, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're making $1,000 a week, it's easy to say $1 million's a lot of money. But when you actually have it, and then it gets taxed, and then you buy a house, and then you have to pay property tax year and year, that 1 million or 2 or 5 million doesn't necessarily feel like it's real wealth. So this is what I mean, investing. This is why we started our FYF Sports Marketing and Investment Strategies group as well, so we can put together a network, so we can collaboratively put our minds together to become stronger with regards to financial literacy. Because I know myself, when I went to college, I couldn't imagine if I'd have had $1 million thrown in my lap. I maxed out every credit card I had just at 17 and 18 going to college. Imagine if you'd have gave me real money like some of these young NBA players have now. So I think it's cultural. I think we got a lot of things to fix with regards to, I think we care about what we look like on the outside too much, the materialistic things.
Preach.
What do you think about it? And I don't know if you know this rapper, because we talked about this as well. The rapper Lil Uzi Vert. He put
I've heard of him.
Okay, so he recently.
Is that the one that got the
24 million. The $24 million diamond in his forehead. And that's where. What are your thoughts on that? And I know you probably got some.
You know what? It's so funny, and we have to be honest. There was a time where I probably said my dream car is this. I'm very different. I've never been one to say, I want this Gucci, I need this Fendi, this Louis Vuitton, and all of Birkin and all of this stuff. I've never been one to be like that. It's just, to me, that would be, I'm just such a very simple person, and I believe that you don't wear your money, and those who have it don't have to show it like that. Doesn't mean that, if my husband said my dream car is this, that I wouldn't get it for him. That why not? You only live once. But we're just so not like that. We're just very like, let's build for the next generation. Let's think about where we want to be 10 years from now, how we want to live in our retirement, where we just never skip a beat, where we'll be able to do whatever it is that we want to be able to do without any restraints. And you can do that if you're willing to live a certain type of lifestyle. But I'm a person that if you said, what's your dream car? I'm like, the one I don't have to pay for. No. What I don't have any payments for. That's my dream car.
Oh man.
And I get it. I understand, especially when people never judge people on those little things that they may want. But I would just say, it's okay, but but think about it. You're going to be 40 and 50 one day. That's really going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of hard when I was younger to imagine that being the case. But that's going to happen. That's going to happen. And, there are certain things that we do need to focus in on as a community. Fiscal restraint, fiscal responsibility, generating wealth, having communities of like-minded people. Like if you're I think it was a Jay-Z and Beyonce song that said if you're the only one that got something, everybody else around you is broke, then you really broke too. Maybe not in your pockets, but in your mind, you broke as well. So, and I think it's kind of hard to think a certain or have a certain mentality if everyone around you has a messed up mentality. So you kind of have to not so much, you don't have to let people go, so to speak, but you got to kind of let people go.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to, if you want to have a different lifestyle and a different mentality, then you want to be around people who kind of have that same mentality. Maybe you can't be around them 24/7 because sometimes you have to manage people who are so far thinking, so far away from your thinking, but you just have to manage them so that you can create what it is you need to create to get to where you need to go. But as far as those who you really commune with and, have a significant amount of time with, probably you want to have people who are on the same, trajectory as you.
Yep.
That's my thought.
And that's one thing. And like I said, I don't want to stay on this topic too long, but that's one thing that culturally we struggle with, because when you see these players who coming from, some of these poverty-stricken communities, when they make it, the first thing they want to do is, I want to bring everybody with me from the neighborhood, and they're tagging along. And I was talking with an athlete out here, who used to play with the Phoenix Suns, and he said, I literally had to send people home. Like, once I realized that it wasn't positively affecting me just mentally and financially. And he says because he brought them along to give them an opportunity, to put them around people so they could maybe make something of that opportunity. And when he saw that they weren't like-minded, like what you said, they were just kind of there leeching along. He said you kind of have to start cutting ties with people, otherwise it's going to start affecting you. So, I mean, I can name a lot of players. I mean, when you talk like Antoine Walker for the Celtics, these people tried to carry too many people, and then once their careers were over, they found themselves back in that poverty-stricken, situation where they're bankruptcy and all of those things. So you are right there. That was make sure if you haven't done so and you're interested in being a part of a community of people who are like-minded, like she said, our FYF Sports, investment and marketing strategies group, you guys. The link will be in the description of this video. Make sure you click that link if you want to join a group of people who are looking to, empower each other and teach each other financial literacy, because one person may have something with regards to investing that you might be able to learn and grow from. You might have something that they may be able to utilize, but the only way we can share that information is if we join that group. So this might be this, out of all the things that we've talked about, this might be the toughest question, or at least the one that you're going to get critiqued the toughest on, at least by our crowd. Yeah. And then, and again, depending on what you say, I may have to put you on the hot seat, depending on what your answer is. But this is is it LeBron or Jordan for you?
LeBron. All day.
Wow. Oh yeah,
many reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So again, you're gonna have to have some good reasons, because a lot of people are gonna put you on a hot seat for this. But why is now we're talking about the GOAT conversation? This is what we're talking about, the GOAT, the best of the best. Why is LeBron better than Michael Jordan?
Well, as of February, I think it's still February 11th, 2012 in my time zone. Number one, whoever heard of someone being 36 years old and getting better? His game is getting better. Father's hitting threes like now I can't stand it. You're getting better. We're trying to just keep up, trying to maintain, until it starts to teeter off, and he's getting better. Hey, I mean, he has 6 rings. That's great. I'm glad for MJ. That's great. But I'm telling you, LeBron is my guy. And that's just his athletic part. His responsibility to the community has always been consistent. That has nothing to do with his game. I get it. But it has to do with him being the GOAT. Definitely has to do with the GOAT. But LeBron, he's getting better. I'm sorry, he's getting better. And, that's whoever heard of a entity or being that's used getting better over time. That's not heard of.
Hey, you see, you really shut down a lot of the questions because a lot of people, especially Michael Jordan fans, they're kind of the consistent go-to that they use is the 6-0, 6-0 the finals in. And for me personally, I still have Jordan above LeBron right now, but it's not because of the 6-0. So at least you addressed that aspect of it. I just think Jordan's dominance, even though over like a 10-year peak was slightly better than LeBron's dominance over 10 years. But I'm not one of those that are saying that Jordan can't be usurped. And when I saw there was a game this year, I don't know if you saw it, where LeBron played the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he had it. I just watched him play the fourth quarter, and they got all of these young, promising rookies, and they, and LeBron, I think, scored 46 that game and just dominated the fourth quarter. And I just really had to say, I may have to do some reevaluation of this, because this is, even at my age, I wake up sore, and I don't feel, and I've talked to people older than me, and I said, I know you guys wake up in the morning and feel like you can't move, let alone go play an NBA basketball game. But you can't give this man credit for what he's doing at his age. You guys know exactly what he's going through, especially as you get older. So, man, that is.
I gotta say, I got something for that. I have to say, I don't wake up in pain. I don't. Maybe I got that LeBron juice.
No, you keep yourself in shape, so that's good.
Well, yeah, but I hear you. But I just, I'm the last 3 games. I mean, I'm going to always be a Pacers fan. I'm always going to root for the Pacers. If the Pacers are in it, I'm going to be for it. But also, whoever LeBron plays for, I'm rooting for them too. I know that's like, but because I am a LeBron fan. Yeah. And those last 3 games that he's played, those overtime games, that's just like, just this guy. I guess people love to hate him. And I'll tell you, I became a LeBron fan after every game that he went to. They started to boo him. I wasn't like LeBron, and I wasn't like for him or against him, but then I became a LeBron fan. I was like, why are they booing him? Like, you didn't have a chance of getting him. Why are you booing him? So that was the onset, and then and then the rest is history.
Well, see, I always tell people, I said, I think your opinion on LeBron would quickly change if he joined your team.
Exactly.
There's a lot of these people. I said you probably hate him because he's probably at some point in time dominated your team to such a degree where you could only all you could do is complain about it. Your thoughts,
like Kobe to the Pacers.
Thank you. Well, and see with Kobe, and see the unfortunate reality of Kobe, and I want your thoughts on this too. Is I said I don't think he really truly got his appreciation until he passed. Because people, just like LeBron, people spent his whole career finding reasons to hate him. On top of the rape accusations, which he actually beat. Everywhere he turned, it was hate. Hate for Kobe, reasons why he wasn't better than Michael Jordan, but then he passed, and now he's not here anymore. And now all of a sudden.
And that whole thing, and even when he passed, and them bringing that up. If we're not going to bring up the things about the young lady, we shouldn't bring up the things about the person being accused. And I don't excuse things because of age. And yet at the same time, and this could be a whole nother, I'll keep it short, but Kobe was such a sheltered, young, good boy, right? And things just came at him so fast. I make no excuses because he did whatever he did, and he was unfaithful or whatever. That's for God to judge. But my thing is that some certain people will say, "What? Well, he was just so young. He didn't know better. His frontal lobe wasn't fully developed." We can have all kinds of excuses, but certain little boys or certain young men, we're ready to. Funny thing, I was looking up something about Lance Stevenson. I was watching this guy, they called him Dorcher, who was guarding LeBron the other night.
Lil Dort.
Yeah. They said the Dorcher chamber, they called it. But I said, the only other person I saw guard LeBron funny was Lance Stevenson. And, I thought about when he was with the Pacers. And as though I do, like, I'll get a name and then I'll do a Wikipedia search. And they had a section in there that said legal issues. And they brought up about him being suspended when he was in middle school or high school.
Oh, wow.
I said, legal issues?
Wow.
I said, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Suspension? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They have to find a way.
That's how I look at the Kobe thing. Is unfortunate. God bless his soul and his daughter. But you're absolutely right. He didn't get his roses while he was alive.
No. And I know it shouldn't have to take something like that to happen before you really understand that what you're watching, whether he's on your team or not, is something we're never going to see again. Like we're never going to see any player have a prime this long ever again. It's to that point in time where it's probably time to really just appreciate it, understand that this is rare. He's accomplishing statistically and his accolades. He's accomplishing something that no other player is probably going to be able to touch in NBA history. So, lastly, obviously, you said you was a Pacer fan. You're a Pacer fan. What are your thoughts on the Pacers this year? And particularly, my biggest compliment for the Pacers is how they've handled two different things. How the firing of Nate McMillan, I like how they handled it when they gave him a contract knowing that they would fire him just so he could have some additional money on the way out the door, one. And then two, with Karis LeVert. He came, they could have redacted that trade, sent him back, but they said, you know what, we're going to welcome you in, we're going to take care of it, and we're going to get you back healthy so you could be a Pacer long term. What are your thoughts on the Pacers this year, and what do you think they can do going forward in the future to get better?
Well, I mean, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I guess there was a time that we would draft a Ron Artest, who I still love, but he messed up our team. But there was a time where we would take a chance in that sense. And since that whole brawl that happened back in, I don't know, you have to help me with the years, but it was so long ago. It's like we steer away from people who might be a problem. And so I think we have to become a little less careful in being, picking, because not everybody is going to want to come to Indiana. It's a great place. Love Indiana, but not everyone wants to come to Indiana. And so we have to be a little bit more risky, I think, in order for us to get some of the players that we're going to need to actually make some movement, because we're not going to get past Miami, Milwaukee, the Brooklyn Nets. That's a whole nother situation. We won't have a chance if we don't get better at that. And the firing of the coach. I was surprised. I didn't know about that spin. That's a spin. I didn't know that spin. I was like, they just gave him a contract extension. Why would they fire him?
It was a gesture of like appreciation for your service, basically. But a lot of teams will just fire you. Like, they didn't have to do that. They went out of their way, and that's why it's not a lot of organizations that have that much respect for the people that come in and actually do it. Obviously, they just had to go in a different direction. Now, the hiring of the coach that they brought in, I didn't agree with that. I think the coach that you fired was much better, if not the same. But that gesture just kind of tells you what type of organization you're dealing with. They do have to start taking chances, bringing in maybe, and just bringing in that guy. Maybe his character or past hasn't been up to par, but he's talented. And maybe you can get him on the same page with the organization to change you around, to turn it around there.
What's his name?
Oladipo? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to be. He didn't want. That's what we're up against. He didn't want to be there.
Yeah, same with Paul George too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
That guy. That's not my guy. No. But he's quite the character. It's like Dr. Rivers was doing backflips for him. See how that works out for him.
Yeah.
Not so well. But yeah. So I'm always, like I said, I'm always going to root for the Pacers. But I don't see much right now gonna happen.
Yeah, they'll be in the playoffs. They'll be a tough out because they're a hard-nosed team. Can they win it all? Not realistically, unless something unbelievable happens. And even if they can find a way to luck themselves into the finals, they have to see LeBron James, and we all know what time it is if that happens. But I want to keep you in longer, but I know we both got to get going. Man.
It has been a pleasure. I'm so proud of you.
Oh man, thank you, man.
Really great.
Yeah, we the podcast, the coaching, so everything is with us here at FYF Sports has been going along smoothly. We've been, and you got to think, we've only been doing this for about 6 months.
Wow.
And so the success that we've had so far has been amazing. Same with you. I hopefully, wish you the best with being a superintendent. You gotta, you're gonna have a lot tougher times than I will, dealing with that. But like you said, both things that we're all doing, even though it's a lot of work, definitely gratifying at the end when you get success. So, if if you got any parting words for the crowd here, sports takes, whatever. What are your last thoughts? What words of wisdom do you want to give all the fans of FYF Sports?
Keep watching. That's my guy. He's doing well. Keep him going. He's a budding star. Those are my words of wisdom.
Hold on.
Save, invest.
You forgot to tell him about my unbelievable high school basketball career at Tech High School.
Oh, yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that great.
I did see him play. I don't think he was the star, but he was the star. He was the star for Miss Starkey at the time. So he was a great student. He was very shy. That's why I was like glad to see you. You were shy in class. Maybe. I guess since you said you had a crush, so I don't know. But you were one of the quieter ones. You were one of the quieter.
Yeah, because I remember it was the way that the crush thing started was when summer school. I don't know what type of summer program we were in, but you were teaching like a summer class, like as 8th graders went into their freshman year. And that's when we came up with this like silly, we're gonna all get in this language, because I think I was in the program where I had to select a language, and I had to select one, but they all bailed on me. They all got scared. I was the only one, so they abandoned me. But that's how it happened, man. But you know what? Like I said, that's when I met you. I'm glad to see you doing the things you're doing. Wish you the best in New Jersey. Superintendent, man, big things out there. Like, you can change lives with that position. And again, that just tells people out there, I know there's a lot of college students who watch this. Again, just keep working, keep grinding. I'm actually working on my doctorate as well. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
In what area?
MBA. Like, I'm just continuing my business. Sports marketing and management. So maybe I'll get that doctor label as well. So hey. I just been like every time.
1% of us, 1%.
Hey, well,
I want to be the other 1% too.
Like, we got to find a way to get into that other 1%. That's the 1%.
I'm telling you, this is the time. Now, words of wisdom as well. Yeah. This is the time. Before those numbers start to go up, you got to start investing and making that. This is the time period. I'll tell you, it's been unfortunately, I say, people have suffered during the pandemic, but, if you get your credit scores up, make sure you pay your bills, get your credit score up, and save that money and invest it in the right thing, because that investment, put it over a lot of different areas, because if you just put a little bit around, maybe some of those things won't pan out, but something will pan out. It's like putting your chips on all the little, that little, Vegas little spinning thing.
Yeah, the roulette.
Thank you, roulette. Something will pan out. Put a little bit all over.
Man, great advice, man. Well, hey, I'm going to put you on mute real quick as we end the show. Again, I want to thank Dr. April Starkey-Vauss for joining the show. Again, as you guys may know her as my Japanese teacher from high school, but she's moved on to bigger and better things. So salute to her for taking time to join FYF Sports today. But it's been another great podcast episode. Make sure you guys check out our live stream. If you have any questions or comments about this live stream, I'm hoping that she will join the live premiere of this video. She may be in the live premiere of this video. If you have any questions directly for her, put them in there, because again, she has a lot of experience, whether it's getting through college, dealing with certain programs, maybe you getting your advanced degrees. Hopefully she can join that live premiere too, and you can direct your questions for her right there in the chat. Hey, but it's been FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode.